The newest loco haul coaches on the network are the Mark 5 coaches, and here we've got the Caledonian set of Accurascale's Mark 5s, which then mean these that will also be the newest loco haul coaching stock at some point during the course of this year. So take a quick look through the Caledonian set, where there are 4 distinct coach models. Now, you can take a look on Accurascale's website, because there's various packs on there for Lowlander and Highlander services. Most packs have actually got 4 coaches in, apart from obviously one that's actually got 6 in there. All makes sense when you take a look at it there, but they're made up from combinations of these coaches. So the first one that we'll actually take a look at is the club vehicle, which as you can see, it's obviously got the ventilator at that end of the roof, and when you look inside, that you can actually see the table seating down one side and the Toblerone perches on the other side of the vehicle. From everything that I've looked at on these coaches, that the dimensionally they're going to be right, obviously, because they've had reference to the original vehicles, manufactured by CAF in Spain, but owned by Beacon Rail, who then lease them out to the operators. So they've had access to the prototype material, and this reflects very well in the shape, albeit that they may look sort of like plain, simple shaped vehicles, that there is definitely a curvaceousness to them. And that's actually an interesting point when you actually start to look at that. I've got a spare part here, which is one of the body mouldings, that we can see that it's a single part moulding, which with the undercuts for the tumble home, etc., that's an impressive piece of tool making that's actually been put into that, and the product that actually comes out of the other side of it. So bearing in mind obviously that there are multiples of these, 4 different body styles for the Caledonian sets, and then double that obviously for the Transpennine sets, you can see where the investment's actually gone into this range. As I mentioned, obviously sort of like interior detail, we'll come back to that a little bit later. But the next one that we take a look at is one of the standard seating vehicles. And it's probably worth mentioning, sort of like at this point, if you flip them over, I mean, there's some lovely detail under there. I mean, who in their right minds goes and puts etched fan grills underneath the coaches? But at least you'll know they're there, and obviously if they ever do take sort of like a sideways tumble off the track, they'll look quite impressive. And on to 2 types of sleeper vehicles. That's the plain corridor side, and then on the other side that we can see the smaller windows for the individual compartments, in this case the single and bunk type compartments. So that is the standard sleeper, whereas the other coach, which actually has fewer windows on the other side, denotes it as being the accessible sleeper coach. So as I say, that's the compartment side and the corridor side. Back to the spares. That I've got a sprue here of the interior of the sleeper vehicles. So we see on the standard sleeper that they're smaller compartments, obviously with the basins, the beds, etc. And on the other side of the sprue that we've actually got the accessible sleeping compartments. From the specification given, that these are going to receive paint and decoration treatment inside. So those are the Caledonian sleepers. All looking absolutely great. Moving on to the transpennine set, it's going to be the drive-in trailer, which obviously sort of like probably grabs the headlines. I don't know whether it's ugly or beautiful, I really don't know, but I'm not making a judgment on that, other than to say that the shape seems to have been captured extremely well comparing to prototype photographs. So here we have the drive-in trailer, which obviously will show you some of the lights that are on the front end of it. Moving on to the intermediate T2 trailer vehicles, obviously with the seating inside. One of the significant differences between the body styles on this compared to the Caledonian Sleeper is the position of the destination blinds at the top, rather than at waist height as they are on the Caledonian set. These are also will be lit and decorated, which is absolutely splendid. So as I say, there we have one of the intermediate cars. Another style, can't remember which way is which around on these, and it's worth noting at this point, as I say, I mean, we've briefly mentioned the underside, is the open frame bogies that we've got on these, and I'll take a closer look at the wheel set shortly. And as you'll see on the end, that there is like a on the kinematic coupling, there's actually the connections and a Scharfenberg style coupling with magnets on it. Because I mean, there's sort of like no ugly tension locks in between the cars on the sets, and that's the same whether it be the Caledonian or the Transpennine sets. That these couplings that once they're actually on the track and you bring them together, easily latch onto each other as magnetise and draw them away, and they seem to perform very well. The only way you can sort of like shake them loose is with sort of like some quite rapid changes of movement, which the over-enthusiastic sort of like controller operator might look a bit embarrassed if they suddenly try and change direction at full speed. And at the opposite end of the train from the driving trailer is the other trailing car, but significantly that you can see on the end of that the connections through to the loco. In this case, class 68. So those people that have been hoovering up the Dapol class 68s in Transpennine livery will actually have something rather tasty to actually hang behind them. So we said about the bogies and the open-ended axles. On the ends of the axles, there are bosses on there with the bolts moulded on. But just to take out one of these wheel sets, help tell part of the story. As you'll see there, that there is a contact for the interior lighting of the coaches, and it's very pleasing lighting actually, drawing its power from the track, and the specification says that there's stay alive circuitry in there for that, but they're turned on and off by the use of a magnet just over the centre of the roof of a coach. But going back to the axle, I've got having to keep a finger on it so it doesn't sort of like roll off. You can see that there's a centre collar, which is a loose fit, and that is actually for picking up for the lighting. So with the insulated wheel sets, you just got to check which way around you're putting them as to which way around obviously the lighting connections are actually working on it. And obviously inside that collar you've got an outer axle which clips onto the bogie. Then inside that there is a thinner axle too. So obviously when it clips back into the bogie, that it minimises resistance. Now on the specification it says that obviously the EM and P4 is catered for. Yeah, there's no problem there with the width of the axles, but I mean I'm no expert to be actually able to say what's the way around sort of like the pickup and motion of this axle moved out in finer scales. So we'll just pop the wheel set back in. As you say, centre boss makes contact with the lighting, clips back in, and obviously it's sort of like quite free moving anyway. and certainly on test that the motion has been free enough, but they are weighted coaches, and with that little bit of resistance that's actually required in there, you're going to need a beefy loco for it. So it's a good job that we've got the DAPL 68 and the Accurascale 92 coming their way, which will have no problem with these whatsoever. Absolutely recommend these, top-notch product, and it'll be interesting to see how they all turn out at the decorated stage.